Right now, while you're watching this, there are dozens of servers storing every place you've ever been, every person you've ever searched for, every insecurity you've ever typed into a search bar at 3 in the morning when you couldn't sleep, and all of it is sitting there waiting to be sold, leaked, or weaponized against you by someone you'll never see coming. You think you're careful? You think private browsing mode protects you. You think deleting your history means it's gone, but the truth is you've been leaving a trail of digital DNA everywhere you go online. And that trail doesn't just reveal what you did, it reveals who you are, what you fear, what you want, what you're ashamed of, and exactly how to manipulate you into doing whatever someone else wants you to do. You've been building your own surveillance file for years without knowing it, feeding the machine that watches you. And the worst part isn't that they're collecting all of this, it's that you gave it to them willingly, click by click, like by like, search by search, until your entire life became an open book that anyone with the right access can read whenever they want. You Google your symptoms instead of going to the doctor. You search for people from your past you'd never admit you still think about. You look up your own name to see what others might find. You check your ex's profile even though you swore you were over it. You type questions you'd never ask out loud. You screenshot conversations just in case. You panic delete things when you think someone might see your phone. You've searched for how to leave, how to escape, how to disappear. You wonder who's watching. You wonder what they know. You felt that cold sensation when an ad shows you exactly what you were just thinking about. You've gotten a friend suggestion for someone you only met once and never told anyone about. You've seen your location tracked in ways you never authorized. You've received emails about things you only talked about, never typed. You feel watched but tell yourself you're paranoid. You know something's wrong but you don't know how deep it goes. The internet wasn't built to protect you. It was built to extract from you, to turn every moment of your attention into data that could be analyzed, packaged and sold to the highest bidder who wants to change your behavior, influence your decisions, or simply know you better than you know yourself. Every platform you've ever used was designed with one purpose hidden beneath the surface of convenience and connection: to keep you scrolling, clicking, sharing, revealing, confessing, until they have a complete psychological profile that predicts your next move before you've even thought it. This wasn't some evil conspiracy that happened overnight. This was the slow erosion of privacy normalized by free services that were never actually free because you were never the customer. You were always the product, the raw material being refined into behavioral data that companies use to manipulate markets, elections, and your own perception of reality itself. Your phone listens not because someone manually programmed it to spy on you, but because the entire ecosystem of apps, permissions, and data brokers created a web so interconnected that your information flows freely between corporations you've never heard of, building shadow profiles that know things about you that you've never explicitly shared, inferring your secrets from the patterns of everyone around you who was careless with theirs. You thought you were just using social media, shopping online, or checking the weather, but every single interaction was a transaction where you traded pieces of your privacy for moments of convenience, and now you're living in a world where strangers know your schedule, your relationships, your politics, your health, your finances, and your fears better than your closest friends do. You don't have privacy anymore because you never protected it when you still could never read the terms of service that signed away your rights. Never questioned why a flashlight app needed access to your contacts, never considered that every free tool came with a hidden price tag written in your personal information. The internet doesn't forget, it doesn't forgive, and it doesn't care that you were young, naive, or just didn't understand what you were agreeing to when you clicked accept on agreements. You never read permissions you never questioned, and sharing settings you never changed from their deliberately invasive defaults. Those photos you deleted years ago are still stored on servers. You can't access those messages you thought were private, were scanned by algorithms looking for patterns to sell those locations you visited, were logged and cross-referenced with everyone else who was there to build a map of your social network that knows who you spend time with before you've even introduced them to anyone. Every data breach you heard about on the news included pieces of you, fragments of your identity scattered across the dark web, where people you'll never meet are trading your information like currency, using it to steal from you, impersonate you, or simply know enough about you to convince you they're someone you should trust. The companies you gave your data to promised to protect it but sold it anyway. The governments that should regulate this are too slow and too corrupted by lobbying to stop it. And you're standing in the middle of this digital wasteland, realizing that the person you should have protected yourself from was yourself, the version of you who clicked yes to everything because saying no seemed like too much work or would make the app stop functioning. You can start reclaiming your digital territory right now by understanding that privacy isn't about perfection. It's about making yourself expensive to track, difficult to profile, and unprofitable to target, which means you need to start treating your data like the weapon it is, and stop handing it to everyone who asks nicely with a colorful interface. Delete your old accounts, the ones you forgot existed, the social profiles from platforms you abandoned, the email addresses you used once, and never checked again. Because each one is a door someone can walk through to piece together who you used to be and use it against who you are now. Turn off location tracking on everything that doesn't absolutely need it. Revoke app permissions you granted years ago without thinking. Stop using your real information when websites ask for it unless they genuinely need it to provide the service, because most of them are just collecting it to sell to data brokers who will compile it with everything else they know about you. Use different passwords for everything. Enable two-factor authentication. Put tape over your cameras when you're not using them, not because you're paranoid, but because the people who told you that's paranoid are the same people profiting from your surveillance. Start searching through privacy-focused tools, communicating through encrypted channels, and paying for services with your money instead of your data. Because free always means they're making money some other way, and that way is always you. Request your data from every major platform you use, download it, look at what they've collected, and feel the disgust you need to feel to actually change your behavior. Because seeing 15 years of search history compiled in one place is the wake-up call that finally makes people understand they've been living in a glass house throwing stones at their future self. You won't erase everything overnight, you won't become invisible, you won't undo the damage already done, but you can stop making it worse, you can close the doors you left open. You can make the next version of you harder to exploit, and that's enough to start with. Because the alternative is continuing to live completely exposed while pretending you have nothing to hide from people who are definitely looking. The internet knows you better than you want to admit because you taught it everything it needed to know. One careless moment at a time, one unread privacy policy at a time, one convenient surrender of your boundaries at a time, and now you're staring at the reflection of yourself built by algorithms that never sleep, never forget, and never stop collecting. You can't go back and unshare what you already gave away. You can't delete what's already been copied 1,000 times across servers. You'll never find. You can't erase the shadow version of yourself that exists in databases and data markets where your identity is bought and sold like commodity futures. But you can decide right now that the bleeding stops here, that you stop being complicit in your own surveillance, that you become the kind of person who protects their future by finally protecting their present. Every day you wait is another day of data collection, another day of patterns being recorded, another day of making yourself more vulnerable to the inevitable breach, leak, or attack that will eventually come for everyone who thought they were too boring, too careful, or too insignificant to be targeted. You're not paranoid for wanting privacy. You're finally awake to the reality that everyone who told you privacy was dead was trying to profit from killing it. And they need you to believe it's too late to fight back, because the moment you start protecting yourself is the moment you stop being profitable to exploit. The internet already knows everything about yesterday's version of you, every mistake, every secret, every moment of weakness you thought was private. But tomorrow's version doesn't have to keep volunteering for the same surveillance, doesn't have to keep building the case against themselves, doesn't have to keep living completely exposed while pretending the walls around them are solid. Your data is out there, your history is recorded, your patterns are mapped, but what you do next is still yours to control, still yours to protect, still yours to encrypt, and the only question is whether you'll finally treat your digital life with the same protection you'd give your physical one, or whether you'll keep leaving every door unlocked while wondering why you never feel safe.